This is the setup. Seemed pretty simple. As we've said all along, why do they do these rankings so everyone hates them when at the end of the day there's no controversy or very little? The big debate was whether you move Bama to number one or Michigan to number one. I kind of liked Michigan's resume, but man, this is not much of a distinction between these two. Certainly when you hang 41 on this vaunted Georgia defense, as you guys witnessed, there's a strong case for Alabama to be number one. So it wasn't a big deal. Georgia only goes to 3. Cincinnati stays at 4. And after that, there was really no number 5 is Notre Dame. They lost by 13 at home to number 4. So no controversies, really. There's a lot of conspiracies that they didn't want to set up a SEC rematch in the semis, or that ESPN's trying to make sure they get an SEC title game or all that. I love a good conspiracy. I'm not really buying that. I think this is pretty reasonable. Pat, your thoughts? Do we have conspiracies, or did the playoff committee do a fine job here in the end?
The committee, despite itself, did a fine job. Despite its 5-week run of slapstick ineptitude television on Tuesday nights, on Sunday at noon or 12:20 or whenever they finally stopped talking on ESPN and got around to the rankings, got it right, I think. Yes, I agree with you that you could have a debate between Alabama and Michigan for 1-2. You could have a debate between Georgia and Cincinnati for 3-4. I think that 3-4 debate might be stronger than the 1-2. If you go through game by game, I think Alabama's schedule, they've got better wins. So I would give them the nod at number 1, starting with the trump card of housing the undisputed number 1 team. Georgia, Cincinnati, it's a little closer because Cincinnati has a better top win and they're undefeated. But after that, the schedule tilts very heavily in favor of Georgia, which played no close games. They destroyed everyone between Clemson and Alabama, whereas Cincinnati was life and death to beat Tulsa, was close against Navy, had some scrapes in there. But on the whole, hey, I'm excited. I think this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to both games and the build-up for both of them. The freshness is good. There is no conspiracy.
This was clean and easy, and nobody screwed anything up. So good for them. They made their 3-foot putt and took their 4-hour celebration of it. I like this field. Like there's a Cinderella in college football. That's like cool. That's fun. That's different. I really like the Georgia-Michigan matchup. That is like football from the 70s and Smash Mouth, old themes. Two somewhat limited quarterbacks, 2 pretty dynamic run games, couple awesome front sevens that are going to counter each other's, they're going to really make the ball move like that. The over-under on that will be interesting. I'm sure Sully knows what it is, but I wouldn't see a lot of points being scored in that game, even though Michigan is just all of a sudden scoring a lot of points too. So I guess I shouldn't limit them, but they ragdolled Iowa pretty good, and they certainly did the same thing to Ohio State's defense, marching up and down the field on that. So it'd be interesting to see how Georgia responds. It had been sort of this season of unbridled optimism and a feeling, at least walking into that Georgia Dome yesterday, of a coronation was coming. They had way more fans there, way more tailgates there. I'm sure it's in Atlanta, but they were there for that moment in time, that, maybe pivot point to where the SEC points towards Athens instead of Tuscaloosa. And boy, did that not happen. Anyway, but on the field, I love the field. I love having an underdog in Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati probably, and I know these are funny things to say, matches up with Alabama a little bit better than Georgia. Cincinnati's weakness is its offensive line, especially its exterior tackles. And obviously Will Anderson's going to be a factor, and they're going to have to spend a lot of time chipping him and doubling him and doing all those things. But I think just the blunt force collectively of Georgia's front 7, which we're not going to just ignore what they did the first 12 weeks because they got ragdolled on Saturday. I think that would have been a lot for Cincinnati to overcome on offense. And that game has 2 best quarterbacks. I mean, those are 2 best quarterbacks in the field, and it's not really even close. Obviously Bryce Young will be the favorite to be the top pick in the 23 draft. And I still think Desmond Ridder could find himself in the first round in this upcoming one. All he's done is win. He's mature. He's football smart. He's not the most accurate quarterback, which would be the knock, but he's a very good player. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the field. I'm excited about where we are. Yeah, it's
good field. I agree.